Uhuru, you're listening to Diasporic Music on Black Power 96 with Melinda Francis. And Lisa Watson is on the buttons. And we are on the line with Harold Welton, Black Panther, former member of the Black Panthers and Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNIC, and a friend of Diasporic Music. And we want to welcome you to Diasporic Music. Comrade Harold, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, comrade. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, Melinda, you want to kick it off?
Well, I mean, what has been happening in LA for Black August? Maybe talk a little bit. There's a lot that's going on, I see, over in LA.
Okay.
What's going on?
All right. I'm a member of Black August Los Angeles, and we just finished up our Black August month. We don't call it a celebration, we call it a commemoration. We have what are called 4 plea days. The opening, August 1st, August 7th, which was the day that Jonathan Jackson went into the courtroom in an attempt to liberate his brother and 2 other Soledad prisoners. August 13th, we have Political Prisoners Day. August 21st, we have commemorate political prisoners and martyrs. That was August 21st was the day that George Jackson was assassinated. And then we have the closing August 31st. I think I said 5. But the 1st, the 7th, the 23rd, and the 31st are the official plea days.
Okay. In terms of, had you finished, sir?
Yes.
Oh, could you? I think it started in 1979 as a result of Qatari Golden being, I guess, Qatari Golden was killed in 1978, and then the commemoration started in 79. Who was Qatari Golden?
He was a prisoner in Soledad prison, and like a lot of prisoners at that time in California in particular, they became political. They started, like Malcolm and George Jackson, they started studying the Black liberation struggle and revolution. Well, he was hurt in a football game, and they allowed him to die. So that's part of the plea day in August. Qatari Golden. 1979 was the official start of Black August behind the California concentration walls. And it was based on George Jackson, Jonathan Jackson, the 3 prisoners that were assassinated in Soledad prison in January of 1970. And other events that happened in the California concentration camps. So, yeah, Qatari Golden was a martyr.
Now, ideologically, all of those brothers were really African, for lack of a better term. They were Afrocentric, and they stuck out their chests about Africa. But George, in particular, said that they were that they were proud to be Africans, but they wouldn't be satisfied until they were communists. Qatari was Qatari's position as well, right?
Correct. Comrade George, I recommend people reading both of his books, Soledad Letters, written in 1970, and Blood Mine, written in 1971, a few weeks before George was martyred. George was not only African liberation centered, he was also an internationalist. He believed in uniting with revolutions and black liberation struggles all over the world. And he always made that clear, not just in the two books that he wrote and I mentioned, but also he wrote articles for Black Panther Party newspaper. And he talked about revolution, liberation, and as well as internationalism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Melinda, keep on going.
So, what do you think the success of this year's Black August, and where do you think we can go from here to make it sort of more widespread?
Okay. This year's Black August was very inspiring. We had a lot of youth this year participating in the free days of Black August. We had the Jonathan Jackson Youth Day. Majority of the people there were youth. We had the August 13th political prisoners. August 13th is based on the three prisoners, like I think I said, that were martyred in San Quentin in Trinidad in January of 1970. And so we honored Ruchell MaGee, who was a political prisoner for 67 years. And the youth took the lead. The youth were part of the makeup of the program on that day. And then we had George Jackson, August 21st, martyred. And again, the youth took the lead in honoring different aspects of the Black liberation struggle and the revolution and struggle behind the walls, not just in California, but across this occupied land. So that was very inspiring to see the youth. We also had our Black August Martyrs Tour on the 23rd, and that was something to behold. Go ahead, Norman.
Yeah, go ahead.
We had it was our 13th annual Martyrs Tour, Sites of Martyrs and Resistance. We went to various sites like where our Prince Bunchy Carter is memorialized, the so-called grave site. We went to the house where the Soledad Brothers Defense Committee, along with people along with Angela Davis, began the struggle to liberate the Soledad Brothers. Soledad Brothers were accused of allegedly killing a guard a few days after. This was in January of 1970. They were accused of killing a guard after a verdict came in stating that the guard that killed the three Soledad prisoners in 1970 January, he was declared innocent. And I think 2 days later, a guard was thrown over a pier in the prison in Soledad. And killed. And they charged George Jackson, John Cushett, and Fleeta Drumgold with his murder. To give you an idea how they were operating, they said in terms of George's alleged participation in the guard's death, they said that George Jackson was the only person that could have done it. Eventually, after George was martyred August 21st, the Soledad brothers' trial happened in 1972, and they were acquitted. Saying that to say that George Jackson would have been acquitted too had he lived. So those were the events, and the Black Martyrs tour, we had to cut it short this year because we were having problems with the AC system, air conditioning system on the bus. But the tour consists of, we go to where 3 Black Panther Party members were martyred on a street in LA, Los Angeles, called Adams and Montclair. And we go to 41st and Central, I don't like to say shootout, firefight, where there was a 5-hour battle with LAPD SWAT the first time they were used. And Panthers shot back, and none of them died. And eventually, I think in 1972, they were acquitted of all charges except one. Some of them were convicted of possession of illegal weapons, automatic weapons. Had they not had those automatic weapons, they probably wouldn't have survived.
They would have been dead, right?
Yeah, that was 41st and Central here in Los Angeles, and that was the first time so-called Special Weapons and Tactics, SWAT, was ever used in this world.
But you talk about the fact that George was he educated himself, but he talked about he could speak Swahili and very good with the English language, but he was studying Arabic, and he said that Arabic would be the spiritual language, and he was studying Chinese. He said that Chinese or Mandarin would be the political language. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, and that in addition, talking to other revolutionaries who were behind the wall, they talked about George communicating with comrades behind the wall in Swahili. They would talk Swahili when the guards would come around. They would talk Swahili, and the guards would get mad. But George again was an internationalist, and George he related to China, the revolution in China, the revolution in Cuba, revolution in African countries, Guinea-Bissau, Zimbabwe, Angola, at the time, Zania, South Africa. He related to all those countries. George, I forgot what African country George, in the beginning, he wanted to go to...
He wanted to go to Tanzania.
Tanzania, yeah. He wanted to go and be a participant in the revolution that was going on at that time.
No, he wanted to go to Angola to fight in Angola, but Tanzania is where he wanted to live, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. And, again, George was well-read, like Malcolm, very precise in terms of his writing and his thoughts on revolution and liberation, not just here, but in the world. And he, in talking to one of the comrades that was behind the wall with George, I asked him one time, I said, well, what were your thoughts, emotionally, what were your thoughts of George? He said, man, he walks like a king. When he said it wasn't, think about the walk. He just walked like a king. I don't want to say his name, but you know him, And George, I hate to use myself as an example, but for lack of better words or better thoughts at this time, George was very, very wise, intelligent. His analysis of revolution and liberation was precise and clear of what had to be done, and his ability to reach out to other countries. He got accolades. Maybe that's the wrong word to use, but he was respected all over the world. There's in Palestine. I forgot who the author was, but he talked about George and George being the son, right? S-U-N. And so that's why I know that George wasn't going to get out of prison. And I think at some point, he might have realized that. I don't buy into the fact that George Jackson was trying to escape with a gun, the most watched prisoner in California at the time, with a gun hidden in his natural after a visit with a lawyer. And then he gets to the adjustment center, the hole, and pulls the gun from out of his hair and says, okay, I'm taking over now, right? There are several good books about George. One of them, towards the end of the book, the author starts talking about himself more than George, But it has some good information on August 21st and what happened. But again, I think that George knew that they were going to kill him, murder him.
Right. And could you talk about of the fact that George's father gets a lot of criticism for not being not being stand up enough, which I don't necessarily buy. But his mama was really, he was kind of off the chains when it came to being outspoken. He was named after his mother.
Yeah, he was. And as you said, George Jackson was very militant. And she also was part of the Soledad Brothers Defense Committee. She was dedicated to what she was doing. There are interviews of her. I hate to do it this way, but folks go to YouTube and I guess put her name in, and you'll see a lot of interviews with her. And I don't agree with the fact that his father wasn't as militant. His father, in checking out different other writings, and interviews on YouTube, his father was sort of a low-key, quiet person, right? But he wasn't, I don't agree with, he was not as committed. That in talking, I know Jonathan P. Jackson's son. And his son talks about sometimes their father, his grandfather being not some church mouse,
Yeah.
And his sisters were very militant. I think one of the sisters were at one time in the Northern California chapters of the Black Panther Party.
Right.
I got to meet, I don't want to go into a whole lot. I also got to meet and know his niece, George and Jonathan's niece. And she talks about it to a certain extent growing up, right, in the family, because she was a baby when George was assassinated. So was Jonathan. Well, no, Jonathan wasn't born.
Right.
She talks about the family, and she's a religious person, right? Not fanatically speaking. But sometimes when she was screaming, that fire comes out in her, right? You know, y'all say too much, man. She's a Jackson. But, yeah. Now, I don't think that Lester Jackson was a church mouse.
Yeah, Mr. Jackson definitely looked after the family. There was no doubt about that. And George would be out there wilding out, and Pop never abandoned his son.
No, he didn't. He worked with the post office, right?
Yeah, right.
And he had 5 children he had to raise, right? 3 daughters and 2 sons. So, but no, again, he wasn't necessarily a church mouse.
He was very soft. Yeah, he was very soft-spoken, right?
Right. Yeah.
And his wife was the opposite. Yeah, she was. I don't know how loud she was, but yeah, she was. But she would let you know. Miss Jackson did not. She did not bite her tongue.
She didn't use the words of back in the day. She did not play. Yeah. So I met 2 Francis and Penny Jackson back in the day. We weren't 100% solid members of the Soledad Defense Committee, but when I was a member of the Los Angeles College Black Student Union, we invited Angela and others to speak at what we call the Black Speakers Forum, right, at East LA College. And after that, Angela invited us to the Soledad Brothers Defense Committee meeting. We being myself and 4 other comrades. And actually, in real time, I didn't know who George Jackson was. I didn't know who Georgia was. I didn't know who Jonathan was until that meeting. I think that was in March of 1970. And at Soledad Brothers house. Reflecting back, that's where I saw Jonathan, and in real time again, I wasn't thinking, oh, that's Jonathan, the one that went in the courtroom. No. And the mother, what I remember vividly about that was Angela Davis at some point in the meeting started reading letters, right? Written by George. This was before Soledad Brothers came out. Soledad Brothers came out, the book, in September 1970. And the way she spoke about him and the letters, I was like, wow. In my mind, this is another Malcolm X, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
We have basically run out of time, but
okay.
No. Let Melinda ask. We'll let Melinda ask the closing question, and Linda can close out. Melinda can close out. Yes.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I know you. We've kind of missed you the last few times. Maybe talk a little bit about the brunch. You said that you were at a brunch, and then also there was a funeral that you went to this week. So maybe talk about that a little bit.
Oh, the brunch, that may have been part of the closing of Black August. That was here in LA. It's called the Black Power Center. And that was the closing day of Black August. And we had the youth speaking again. We had them talking about a comrade here that was in LA. He transitioned 2 years ago, G2 Siddiqui, and they were honoring him. And also they honored Ruchell MaGee. What was that other question? I'm sorry.
You're talking about a bunch
You went.
Oh, yeah, Elma Carter Prince. Elma was maybe 4 years younger than Bunchy, possibly 3. She transitioned this year. She was very well. She took advantage of the educational system. She went to Cal State Dominguez here in Southern California, and she got a master's in public administration from Pepperdine here in Portland, which used to be in South Central Los Angeles. And very, very strong, well-spoken individual person. And so her services were yesterday. And
I'll cut you off. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Being around the Carter Morris family is always inspiring and always heartwarming for me. You know, just to give you an idea of some of the honorary pallbearers, 2 of them were Black Panther Party members. That was Alfred Bunchy Carter and Dan Mark. And also Gregory Carter, who I went to school with him back in the day. In real time, I like to give people some idea of how we were going. Gregory and I, when we were in middle school, we used to say bad on each other's families. You know, and of course we grew out of it, but kind of give you an idea. A lot of Panthers that who were part of the Southern California chapter, a lot of those Panthers were from your neighborhood, our neighborhood, Fremont, around the area of Fremont High School.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and Ron Wilkins, you know, Melvin X. You already know that a lot of political people, including yourself, came out of John C. Fremont High School. 76. South San Pedro, right? Yes, sir. Yeah, so I hope
But the last thing, remember Bunchy had all those sisters, and nobody could get to those sisters because of all of those brothers. You had to be down near the heavyweight champion even to look at one of his sisters, right? You remember
That's
that?
Right. Yeah, Jewel Carter, Bunchy, Glenn. You had to be ready. Now, Bernie Moore. Yeah, you had to be ready. Hopefully, answered most of the questions.
Yeah, I think he did we covered, as they say, you covered the waterfront, my brother.
Yes, sir. Carmen,
yes, sir.
People that you were asked to leave Fremont again, like myself.
Yeah, I was asked to leave Fremont by my Mr. Man, this guy, what's the man? My nephew is that's his uncle. What, man, Mr. Humber?
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Humber. Yeah, Mr. Humber was born in Georgia. He was like a boxer. And he was no joke.
Nope.
You remember Mr. Humber, right?
Yeah. Well, I told you, you and I are in a sexual alumni. We were asked to leave. Real quick, I always tell my grandkids when they ask me, not all the time now, but they ask me, Granddad, how come you went to so many schools? And I said, no, they used to call them social adjustment. They wanted me to help the other kids. So that's what it was. They wanted us to help the kids. All right, so, yeah.
All right, yeah, well, thank you for the interview, sir.
Thank you both, and thank you all. And right on, in the words of Al Prentice Carter, right on, OWN. All right. Okay. Take care.
All right. And you have been listening to Harold Welton, and on behalf of Melinda Francis, Lisa Watson, I guess, Melinda, you wanted to close the show, right?
No, we're going to go to the Jazz Zone.
Sorry about that. You got to get your tea in Providence with the Jazz Zone, correct? All right.